Now, our final organisation this evening has been nominated by TFN member Leanne Townsend, CEO of the National Aboriginal Sporting Chance Academy, and it's called Joining the Dots. They work to bring greater connections between communities in Australia. Here to tell us more about this Welcome Dinner project, please welcome Founding Director Penny Elsley, along with Hamid. Penny's going to be joined by Hamid, who's been volunteering for the project as their photographer for the past 9 months. Penny.
Am I on? Yep. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Pay my respects to the ancestors, both past and present. 5 years ago, I embarked on a rather unplanned but very intentional journey. And that journey took me across 5 continents to some of the most isolated communities on my search for what it is that the world needs most and what my part might be in making a difference. After I returned to Australia, I was with a group of Sudanese women one day, and one of them said to me, "Penny, I've been here for 5 years and no one has ever invited me into their home. And this makes me feel isolated and not yet part of Australia." And in that moment, I felt a fire in my belly. I knew this was a dot I needed to join. When I was on that journey, towards the end of it, I met a man called Greg. He was 80 years old. He was in a place called Albuquerque in New Mexico. And he was one who said to me, "Penny, you know what you're doing. You're going where the dots are not joined." I thought back to those women and I thought, what's the best way to join those dots and bring people together? Put your hand up if you got to try some of Sonam's famous dumplings a little bit earlier. Thank you, Sonam, and thank you for all you've contributed to this project. If you were lucky enough to try some of Sonam's famous dumplings, you would have got a taste of some of the array of exotic food that you could find around your dinner table at a welcome dinner. I tell you, there's a wonder it's not a lot more of me. How it works is we bring together an equal mix of local established Australians and newly arrived people. And they could be skilled migrants, international students, refugees, anyone who's new. We have all these people at our welcome dinners. And everyone brings a dish from their culture and we share it. But the magic of what's key to how these welcome dinners work is our facilitators. We train facilitators, they're all volunteers, 2 of which turn up to every welcome dinner. And they create a safe space for everyone to feel really welcome and comfortable about interacting. Hamid, thank you for your patience. Come on up. Have we got that turned on?
I guess, yeah.
Next photo, please. This was a welcome dinner, or welcome lunch we had back in February at Parramatta Park, and it was the first day that I met Hamid. Hamid, can you tell us about that experience for you?
Actually, about this experience was the first day I have a relationship with my camera again, because for the long time I didn't touch it. And the feeling about that one, always I see it, it's like just show me up how I just finish up that limbo and I'm just found my way again from the completely limbo, because I come in with a lot of hope. And each door I open was just wall behind the door. Like, I didn't find any way to connecting to the community, to the people, to found a friend. That was more important for me. And after that day, I found my way. Like after 2 years long, no any connection, I'm finding the friends. Then after that, at the moment, I have some picture they printing in the magazine as a first page. And I'm just the beginning. I wish to do it more.
Wow, because you'd been here about a year before I met you that day, yeah?
Yeah, actually it was a year and a half.
Wow, that's some transformation. So you say you felt like you were so isolated, and limbo was the word that you used. And then since the connections that you made at the welcome dinner and the confidence that you got,
Actually, after welcome dinner, I found the way. Just like they show me some way can through the wall. So after that, I found a friend. I've been in Melbourne doing the DO lecture. I have some friend here. James is here. And yeah, then after that, they asked me to do some photos for some magazine. And yeah, I just found out my way. That actually I can call the dinner project was a straight bridge for me to connect to the people again.
Thank you very much, Hamid. What a transformation. And thank you also because Hamid has been volunteering as a photographer for us since that day that we met, actually. I don't think he's had his hands off that camera since that day. And producing the most beautiful, spectacular images, actually. We're really capturing the experience for other people. So thank you. What's so powerful about welcome dinners is that this kind of transformation happens not only for newly arrived people, but we see it just as much for established Australians as well. But right now, hundreds of thousands of people like Hamid are being excluded from being a productive member of our society. Just take a look at this graph for a moment. That red line is the story so far, where we've had close to 2,000 people participate in a welcome dinner since we launched last March. And all of these people have just come out of the community. I've just been in awe since the first moment of just how people have got behind this. We've had hundreds of volunteers. The media got hold of it, spread the story across the country. We had so many requests come in that we've now launched in Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, and next week in Tasmania. This blue line here is the requests that we've got coming in. This is the people who have registered, people like you and people like Hamid actually seeking to connect and reach out to each other. As you can see, there's a gap there. We haven't been able to keep up with the demand. And actually, this line is what we believe the real story is. This can go exponential, and it needs to. We know that there are 200,000 people, new people, who come to our shores every year. And we also know that there are just as many, actually more, people who've been in Australia their whole life who want to make this kind of connection. We know we can have a welcome dinner every day. That's our dream. We know that will change the face of Australian society. For every $10,000 we raise, we will see another 1,500 people at least in a welcome dinner. And as we scale, we will see this and the face of Australian society change so that that Fair Go Australia we all know will become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Hamid. Questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, over there.
Yes, how many welcome home dinners will the $10,000 fund resource?
Well, as I said, we sat down and did the numbers, and we worked out that there will be about 1,500 people at least involved in a welcome dinner for that amount of money. We've had so far 40 welcome dinners. 30 of those have been in people's homes, and 10 of those have been large scale with more than 100 people in community centres, parks, libraries and the like. So we sort of based our numbers on that to work out what we could do with $10,000. Cool. Yes, Norma?
Does everyone cook Penny? Like Hamid, does his people cook?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said, there's a wonder there's not a lot more of me. So I get to try at every welcome dinner food from people's cultures and even established Australians from whatever cultural background they have, or whether it's grandma's recipe. Everyone brings a dish to share.
So if everybody brings a dish, where does the money, I'm trying to understand where the money goes. How does that work? Where does actual money go?
Sure. So far we've had some funding from local councils, a bit of sponsorship from Amnesty. We just raised $23,000 from some crowdfunding, which was fantastic. It really showed that the community is behind this. What we need the money for is, A, to upgrade our information technology system, so our registration database to cope with this national launch. We also need money to run the dinners themselves, so the materials that are required. We provide interpreters. Sonam's here. She works as an interpreter for us for all the dinners we have with Tibetan refugees because they're very newly arrived and they need interpreters. We also help with transport because this is the reason why people aren't doing this and aren't coming together. There are lots of barriers, whether it's around language, accessibility, can't afford to get there, you know, those sorts of things. So we provide that very practical support, but we also need staff. And we're going to have a paid state coordinator in every state because we're about sustaining this. We want this to be a sustainable model. And so we have to have people in paid positions as well. So we're really working towards that. Everyone's a volunteer at this point, including myself.
And how do you get people to come together? And where do you find everyone?
Where do we find everyone? Lots of people find us. So we have a pretty good social media presence, which is just growing by the day. And with the attention we've had from the media, so we've been on national news twice. We've also had articles come out in the Sydney Morning Herald, in Broadsheet. Our website crashed that day. We had so much interest when we were on the front page of Broadsheet. So people find out in that way. Particularly with the newly arrived people, though, we tend to go through agencies that are working with them. We have a lot of our facilitators who go and do presentations at English classes. We've actually discovered that's the best way to get in touch with newly arrived people. And people need to see pictures, they need to see video, what this is like, to feel safe to come. And they need to meet someone who's going to be there to feel safe to come. So there's actually quite a lot of work in helping people get there, but we know when they get there, the rewards are great, and we just see the transformation in people's faces.
Involve families and younger children?
Absolutely. So this project is for everyone. We're quite astounded that it's attracting people from every sector of society and from every generation. So we try to match people up, if they're families with small children, we try to match them up with families with small children. Quite often we just have a whole mix of ages as well.
Can you just explain what facilitators do on the night?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with one facilitator and very quickly we learnt that we needed two. So facilitators really help people feel welcome. So we have different activities. We do very simple things because we want it to feel as naturally like a dinner as possible. But you know, people come in and are welcomed and get a name tag, and on that name tag they write what they're passionate about, which is how we kick off the conversation. We start the dinner with the facilitators introducing the project and inviting everyone to say what is in the food that they brought, so that they can introduce the dish and everyone knows what's in it, what they're going to be eating. But also, you actually learn a lot about that person and their culture from them introducing their food. So it's kind of not as confronting as introducing yourself, but right at the start of that meal, every single person, even the shy people, have said something. And so the facilitators run these activities. We give out contact cards. We help them talk about what they can do next because we don't want it to just be a dinner. We want to make those connections continue. You can see hanging at the back all the speech bubbles. We've got thousands of those. Everyone who's been at a welcome dinner writes a word about how they feel, and we share those words. We've had people say, this is the first time I feel hope. This is the first time I've ever been out. You know, so we get these kind of messages and almost a bit of evaluation just by doing that little speech bubble activity at the end. So there are different activities that are run, and of course also the practical stuff about liaising with the host and who's doing the washing up and what have you.
One more?
Brian.
Are they culturally appropriate?
Oh, sorry, didn't see it. Yeah.
Are they culturally appropriate?
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
One of the founding principles of Joining the Dots is very much about acknowledging the traditional owners of the land and how we can really connect with what it means to be welcoming in a true sense. And so we actually start the welcome dinners by saying the only true people who can welcome us here are the First Nations people of this country. Now, I know your question is probably more about other cultures as well, but I just wanted to say that because it's very important to us in the work of Joining the Dots that we begin there. But in terms of being culturally appropriate, this is one of the barriers that people fear. In fact, my friend Paul, who's in the audience tonight, was one of the instigators of me getting this idea because he said, we've been looking to meet newly arrived people, but we're worried about it being tokenistic or we might do something culturally inappropriate. So we train the facilitators to actually hold that space and to really invite people to converse about different things. We have a couple of rules, and one is that you don't ask people how they came to Australia or where you work. And actually we concentrate on what we have in common so that we can really rediscover our common humanity. That's what the Dinner Project's about.